Latin. So we're going to go over today some translation problems from Latin to English, concentrating on verb tense of the main verb. If you want to revise and review how to form participles, follow the link to my first video. And today we're going to use some dark paper so that your eyes find it relaxing, especially if you're watching at night. And I'll be using some colored marker pens. Let's start with passive participles. Here we have nostri castra calorum capta incenderunt. The first thing we're going to do is pick out the subject and the main verb. Nostri is our subject. It is in the nominative plural. Our men. The main verb will have to be in the third person plural. And here we see we have a third person plural verb in the perfect tense. Incenderunt. It's worth looking at the verb parts for this. Incendo, I burn or set fire to. Incendere, incendi, incensus. So we have our four principal parts. Incendo, incendere, incenti, incensus. And we can see here that we have the perfect tense, which means this happened in the past. So we have our main verb and our subject, amen, burned. Now we need an object. Castra is our object. This is second declension neuter. Castra, meaning camp, is always in the plural, and this is the accusative plural. Amen burned the camp, and here we have a possessive, a genitive. Second declension masculine, accusative plural. Amen burned the camp of the Gauls. We have one word left, capta. This is our participle. We can see that it has no verb ending. This comes from the verb capio. I capture, I seize. Capere in the infinitive. Capi in perfect and our participle. Captus. That is our passive participle verb stem. The ending, which is from the us matches with castra, neuter, accusative, plural. So this is describing the camp. How do we put this into English? The camp is the having been captured camp, because the meaning is passive. So this participle is telling us about the camp. Our men burned the camp of the Gauls that was already captured. The key here is to note that capta is in the past. It happened before the main verb. The main verb is in the past. So before they burned it, they captured it. Let's go through a few ways to translate this and express it in English. The first thing we can do is make two active verbs. We can say our men captured the Gauls camp and burned it. So we have two active verbs. The second thing we can do is express this with a relative clause. In English we use lots of relative clauses. Our men burned the Gauls camp that had been captured. And there's our relative pronoun. You can also use which had been captured. A third way we can do or express this is with an adverbial clause. This will be a subordinate adverbial clause or dependent clause with a subordinate conjunction. But to dispense with all of the grammatical particulars, you will just be using an adverb as your conjunction, which connotes when, so a time adverb, because in your passive participle sentence, you know that the participle happened before the main verb, so we want to express one thing happening before another. And in the interest of keeping these things on a timeline, we're going to use our past perfect. When they had captured the Gauls' camp, Amen burned it. In English, you can rearrange this if you like. When our men had captured the Gauls' camp, they burned it. You can also invert the clauses. Our men burned the Gauls' camp when they had captured it. The past perfect being used in English to connote something that's happening before the main verb, burned. Your adverb or subordinate conjunction being when. And there's one more way that we can express this in English. We can use an English perfect participle. So, well, wrong color, sorry. Having captured the Gauls' camp, Amen burned it. Having captured here is an English perfect participle describing our men, which men, the men having captured the Gauls' camp, the having captured the Gauls' camp men. So here you see we have the Latin nostri castra gallorum capta incenderunt. We have our subject and we have our perfect tense main verb and the perfect passive participle, meaning this happened before the main verb, which is also in the past. The participle describing the camp of the Gauls. Let's look at our active participles. Nostri castra gallorum capientes incenderunt. We still have our same subject, nostri, amen, and we have our main verb in the perfect tense, they burned. We still have castra gallorum in the accusative, is now a present participle, present active. Remember our verb parts. When we construct a present participle, we're using the second principal part. We add an I, our vowel, and the N, and the ending will match our subject because it's active. So remember, an active is when the subject is doing the action. If it's the object, as we had in the passive participles, the action is happening to the camp. The men burned the camp of the Gauls at the same time, because it's a present participle, that they captured it. There are two ways that we can express this in English. The first one will be to use an English present participle. Now, I'm using the ed ending for burned. If you like to use the nt, it's fine. Both are correct in both UK and US English as well as Australian, and both mean the exact same thing. So it's entirely up to you, and if you're writing a paper or publishing an article, just make sure you use the same one all the way through. Our men, the capturing the camp men, burned it. And of course we've got the Gauls in there as well. Capturing the Gauls camp, burned it. The present participle is telling you that these two things are happening at the same time. So that's what you want to express in English. How else can we do that? We can use while or as, just like in our passive participle adverb clauses. We can use these adverbs. So, while our men were capturing the camp, they burned it. Or as our men were capturing the camp. So you have an adverbial of time telling us that these things are happening at the same time. The last participle we're going to look at is the future active participle, where the action of the participle happens after that of the main verb. Nostri castra galorum incensuri ceperunt. We can see now that the endings on our verbals have changed. Our active verb is now ceperunt. We have the same subject, our men, nostri, the same object, castra galorum, but we have ceperunt as our main verb, and we can see it is in the perfect tense, i.e. the preterite or past. It happened in the past. Our men captured the camp of the Gauls. Now we have a participle incensuri. Now, do you remember our principal parts? Incendo, incendere, incendi, incensus. To form our future participle, we use the fourth principal part. And we have a u, a, ur, and a, us, a, ending. Nostri, of course, is masculine, plural, nominative, and it matches with incensuri. So this is describing the subject, the men. So which men? The men who are going to or are about to burn the camp of the Gauls, captured it. That's our meaning. How do we express that nicely in English? Our men. About to burn it, captured the Gauls' camp. Let's do an even more articulate expression. We're going to stay with the main verb. Our men captured the Gauls' camp. We can use our relative, that they were about to burn, that they would burn, that they were going to burn. So they captured the camp that they were going to burn. So remember, we've got to express it so that the capturing happens before the burning. Another way to express Latin future participles in English is the idea that this is an intention. So we can say, our men captured the Gauls' camp, intending to burn it. So we have several ways to express the future participle, and all of these are perfectly acceptable ways to translate these participles from Latin into English. The context around the sentence will give you more information about which way you want to translate it, but the important thing to remember is which happened first, the participle or the main verb. To review, nostri castra gallorum capta incenderunt. When we have a perfect passive participle, we know that this perfect passive has happened before the main verb. The camp that has already been captured was burned. If it's happening at the same time, we have a present participle. happens after that of the main verb. I hope this has helped with expressing Latin participles in English. If you have any questions or requests, please leave them in the comments. I hope this has also relaxed you. Be good to yourself, be kind to others, and be, as always, extraordinary.